Hey everybody, I want to talk to you today about a topic that most people don't realize they can do. So normally when you're in the RFP process, you actually can't talk to contracting officers, or at least you think you can't talk to contracting officers. And this is really one of the last opportunities you have to actually shape the RFP, and it's called the Q&A period. So when they go into the Q&A period, typically an RFP will come out and say you can submit questions up until this date, whatever that date is. And then normally that date is like a week or two before the RFP is due. Now, if you're anything like me and you look at a really big proposal, you may not want to bid on that thing depending on what the answers are to the RFP or to the Q&A period. So what you're going to want to do is reach out to the contracting officer and actually ask them to answer those right away. And a lot of times they won't do it. There's a couple little tricks that I'll talk to you about here in a second, but that Q&A period is really vital for you getting answers or shaping the outcome of the RFP, because a lot of times there are things like past performance requirements or security clearance requirements, or maybe when they look at your past performance, they want a mix of commercial and government or different things like that. Or maybe there is something else that is restrictive to your business. And if you feel like you can do that contract, but that is an unnecessary restriction, you need to let the government know that. So I've had 2 clients in the last 90 days reach out during the Q&A period and actually tell the government, hey, this is an unnecessary restriction, and I believe this is actually going to restrict a lot of people from chasing this RFP. And so if you do this, we, for one, are not going to actually submit an RFP. And I think this is unnecessary. It's an unnecessary requirement. I don't think you should have it. And so if you do that, a lot of times the government's antennas go up and they're like, oh, this company may protest or something along those lines. So that may speed up the answers to the Q&A. And look, here's the deal. We're just trying to get clarity on what's going on so that you can decide whether you spend 40 or 60 or 80 hours and maybe some cash actually chasing the RFP. So I highly recommend you not only answer or submit questions during Q&A periods, but if there is something that is really restrictive and you're not going to have enough time to submit an RFP, let the government know that. Now, they won't always respond to you and this won't always work, but talk to other contractors and say, hey, will you submit this as well? And if enough people hit the government with it, they will change their mind, or they will at least respond to the questions. And sometimes the answer is just no. And if the answer is no, then at least you can save that money on that RFP that you were wanting to chase, but now you can't because there's something restrictive about it. So to recap, the Q&A period is sort of set in stone, but you can still push the government to answer earlier and actually get what you want out of them and shape that final RFP. But it is critical that if you have a challenge, you respond in that Q&A period to get clarity so you don't waste money on your RFP. If you have questions about this, as always, you know how to reach me. We'll see you next time.